It feels like something inevitable is going to happen with Bethesda, and if you want to know what that inevitable little something is, well, it is their entire existence. In my eyes, there's only two things that Bethesda are able to hold on to right now. One, the fact that they're completely owned by Microsoft with that entire acquisition saga back in 2020, and two is the fact that they have rights to some of the most amazing IPs that you could possibly think of, that being obviously the Elder Scrolls and Fallout franchises. Now at this point in time, I like to think Bethesda are just kind of coasting, they're just getting by. They're not getting pushed to any sort of new boundaries because they've got comfortable by Microsoft. You would have thought with this huge investment, this huge injection of money, it would have allowed Bethesda to push boundaries a little bit more, but clearly not. And when everybody around them is getting better in terms of their RPG game quality, what is the appeal to stick around with Bethesda other than the fact that they have the rights to these franchises? I want you to answer a simple question for me, and please be truthful. If you gave the rights to the Elder Scrolls franchise, for example, to someone like CD Projekt Red, someone like Warhorse, do you think they would be able to create a better RPG experience than Bethesda? So hopefully everyone said yes, because if you did say no, then I seriously want to hear your justification for that. But besides that, it's because these studios are quite literally pushing better boundaries than Bethesda and are quite clearly at this point in time more capable. If you want to see a little bit of comparison, all you have to do is take a look at Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which dropped this year. I mean, this set the fantasy world alight with a fantastic immersive RPG, which is probably one of the best you'll ever play. Everything from the way the world looked to the NPC decisions you were able to make, the way it didn't treat you like some sort of 10-year-old that would question your intelligence every single time you picked the game up. It was an RPG that just offered so much, whereas when I went back to play a Bethesda game, yes, I know it's an unfair comparison when you compare the dates of the games, but when you go to Starfield, for example, it's just not on the same quality whatsoever. And I suppose that's what today's video is all about. I want to talk about this inevitable downfall of Bethesda and really start to break down how much time they actually have left. From other studios just doing so much better around them, actually improving, from Bethesda employees just obviously making decisions to piss off their own audience. Before we do get started though, guys, it does turn out only 0.3% of my watchers are actually subscribed, so if you do find yourself enjoying any of the videos I make, please be sure to consider subscribing. It really does help support the channel. As always, we'll need to take a little step back to understand why everyone is criticizing Bethesda this way. I think it's mainly from a place of love because we know they can do better, especially when you take a look at their golden era of gaming. From the early 1990s to the early 2010s, Bethesda, in my opinion, was the gold standard for open world gaming, crafting universes that pulsated with freedom, depth, and player-driven stories. When I look back at it now at 2025, it is painful to compare that passionate, innovative studio with the one that we see today, mixed in monetization and just mediocrity. This golden era, spanning to the birth of the Elder Scrolls, Skyrim's global dominance, was defined by ambition, community collaboration, and a commitment to delivering complete experience for one single price. I won't bore you today about the history of Bethesda, how they started, how they came to be. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys would know about that. If you are interested in any sort of intricate details about Bethesda and their sort of early days, be sure to check out my buddy Av Gaming's channel. He has a lot of great videos on Bethesda and their startup process. What I particularly want to talk about in this sort of section of Bethesda's golden era was in fact their golden game, that being Skyrim, of course, in 2011. Now, if you've watched these sort of Bethesda videos breaking down their downfall, then you've heard that Skyrim was the greatest and the worst thing to ever happen to Bethesda, probably from so many people, and well, that is because it is in fact true. When Skyrim had 30 million sales by 2016, it was a huge success, undoubtedly one of the biggest games and most recognizable games of all time, a game many of us absolutely love. As loved as it was, however, though, it was flawed in many different aspects. From my point of view, the worst part of Skyrim was obviously the streamlined scenario, where the entire game was streamlined in comparison to some of the older titles before. To put it simply, a lot of the cool stuff that many of the previous games, Oblivion, Morrowind in particular, had was streamlined down to be more accessible to a wider audience. While on paper that seems like the right decision to go with, more accessibility means more sales, but that is alienating your core audience who will support you before those casual fans make it to your game. Besides that though, the worst part about this was the fact that it planted a horrible seed in Bethesda's mind. It planted a seed that streamlining games was obviously what everybody wanted, and it was the way forward to improve as a studio. It gave them the impression that their fans were only in it for butter mashing games, where Radiant quests were the new in thing and they were acceptable for a game, where the map obviously isn't one of the most important important factors in your game, so let's just replace it with procedurally generated content. Listen, I could spend hours talking about how Bethesda have streamlined their games for the worse. I won't keep you around for that long because I want to get on to my point. Where Bethesda let their foot off the gas in this aspect, other studios managed to fill that gap. Look at things like CD Projekt Red with The Witcher 3. Look at this year with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 by Warhorse Studios. This is what fans have been missing, and this is what Bethesda let go of. When I talk about some of the companies and games that really felt that spot that Bethesda left behind, let me tell you the reason how and why. Let's start with CD Projekt Red, a studio that redefined RPGs with The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt in 2015. My favourite game of all time by far, not by far because Cyberpunk is a close second. The Witcher 3 delivered a world of unparalleled depth, Novigrad's bustling streets filled with NPCs who react to weather, time and player actions. These made Skyrim towns feel outdated, static in a way. Quests like the Bloody Baron blend in family drama with supernatural horror, offering emotional weight and branching choices that Oblivion's guild quests could only dream of. CDPR's free 16 DLCs, including quests and armor, contrasted sharply with Bethesda's later paywalls, showing where their true priorities actually lied. Even Cyberpunk, despite its buggy 2020 launch, outshone Bethesda's most recent efforts in Starfield. Its redemption arc is a perfect example of how you need to treat a game when it doesn't launch at 100%. You go back and you work on it and give everyone the product that they actually paid for and they expected. It is now 2025 and I can honestly say that with Starfield I don't really see a full product in front of me. To give you another example, Rockstar Games has set another unattainable standard with games like Red Dead Redemption 2 in 2018, a masterclass in open world immersion. It created a living world where NPCs had daily routines. You could hear the townsfolk gossiping, wildlife reacted dynamically. When you compare that to a more recent Bethesda release which was Starfield, the standard is just mind-boggling, especially with the difference in quality. Rockstar's attention to detail, mud sticking into boots, horses reacting to weather, made Bethesda's creation engine used in Starfield just feel purely outdated. It felt clunky. However, to give Bethesda some sort of leeway here, there is an ongoing discussion in the gaming community that Rockstar have set standards too high, with immersive details so specific and so intricate that it's just completely pointless to have in an RPG game. Whether you agree or not, that's besides the point. What the point is here is a case study of what you can do when you push the boundaries in gaming. But not only are they far off Rockstar, who are obviously a very well-established company, but newer companies are sort of trying to take their throne at the moment, and you've got to look no further than Warhorse Studios, like I previously mentioned in the video, with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. It is certainly a worrying sign when you have ambitious and hungry studios who need to make good quality games, who need to get that sort of public perception that, hey, we do make better games than the big boys, and actually forces these smaller companies to show innovation and creativity within their projects. Unfortunately, it does mean that Bethesda, like I previously mentioned in the video, are in a coasting phase. However, they don't necessarily need to innovate because they're already well established, but an established name can be taken away as well as it is given out to people. And when Bethesda have this sort of habit of removing what made their game special in the first place, how long is it until people just stop buying their games altogether? From removing beloved features and branching quests to charging for mods and quests and even private servers, fans who once forgave Bethesda's bugs for their ambition are purely now just fed up. They want something actually good. By the way, if you are interested in hearing about all of Bethesda's greed and how it has been their true downfall, check out this video I made previously. Bethesda's future is worrying. It's worrying to a point where we have to ask ourselves a question. Where are these guys gonna be in 10 years time? Will they be here at all? Besides the fact they're piggybacking off of the two biggest franchises they have right now, Bethesda's future is tethered to a monetization model that has alienated a lot of fans. It's also a future linked to uncertainty because we don't quite know when their next big release, The Elder Scrolls 6, is even due to come out, an entire separate controversy in itself. And it is the only thing that they have going for them right now. It's kind of like the only wave of hype they have going into the future, because besides that, what the hell would we be going back to Bethesda for? As companies over time get better, it feels like Bethesda just goes sideways, and many of the times it feels like they're actually going backwards, especially with Starfield. And it doesn't feel like this opinion is going to change for a good while until The Elder Scrolls 6 actually comes out and they can give us something to show their progress over these years. They can announce themselves to the world maybe again. And I don't think it'd be an understatement or any sort of hot take to say that The Elder Scrolls 6 is Bethesda's most important release of all time. The perception of this game is truly going to shape this company forever. Everyone's already going in with a bad taste from how long it's actually taking, but what kind of things will they adopt and add to this game? Will they take a procedurally generated world route like they unfortunately did in Starfield, where you had 1,000 planets, well, just no substance with them? Are they going to give us more Radiant quests where we would just run around the map like a brain-dead monkey because that's what they thought that we would enjoy? Are they going to give us some of the most bland and basic stories and characters where we just can't immerse ourselves in any of their personality or depth? I can't necessarily tell you the answer to that, obviously, as of right now, but what I can say is I don't think Rockstar, CD Projekt Red, and Warhorse, I don't think they'll be going down this route. In particular with CDPR and Warhorse, I think in the future they'll be giving us more fantastic characters, more fantastic handcrafted content to look forward to. For them, the future looks bright, and for Bethesda, well, the clock is ticking. Over time, gradually, people will expose People have exposed their flaws over the years, and they're only going to get exposed even more if they don't decide to innovate. In the past, they got comfortable, but now they're going to actually have to do some work. They're going to have to use their brains and think of how they're going to win the people who they built their trust with back. Unless it's already too late already. Speaking of late, I'm up too late making this video, so I'll end things here. Thank you very much for watching the video. Please let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think Bethesda have a very promising future for some reason? Or do you agree with me and think that other studios around them are innovating too fast for Bethesda to cope with? Of course, if you did enjoy the video as well, please be sure to like and subscribe. It does really help support the channel, and have a great rest of your day.